Welcome to the Wedding Show, and in this episode we'll be speaking with Emer from Mc Dermott Travel and getting her expert opinions on honeymoon. The show is produced live on Facebook, so remember to comment with any questions you might have. We'd also love if you could share this live video with anyone you know who is getting married. As usual, we have our producer Brian Mc Dermott in the background. Hi Brian. And on social media, Micheal Donovan. Micheal, how are you?
I'm great, Richard.
Great. Back from holidays.
Back from holidays. I'm delighted to be back.
Back with a bang.
Delighted to be back, Richard.
Very good, very good. So Emer, tell us about Mc Dermott Travel.
Thanks for having me, Richard.
You're more than welcome.
Yep, so Mc Dermott Travel, based in Westport, in Mayo, established for about 16 years now. And we're a travel agency in essence, but our speciality is honeymoons. So I'm here tonight to just chat about the different aspects of honeymoons and obviously the new phenomenon at the moment, which is the mini-moon.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're going to have a quick chat about a couple of those aspects.
Brilliant.
What's a mini-moon?
What is a mini-moon?
Yeah.
Do you know what a mini-moon is, Mick? And don't say a dwarf's bottom. Mini-moon, Emer, will you explain?
I was going to, well, since you've gone there now, since you've gone there, I was
Sorry, little bird.
I'll take it out of the gutter, will I? And bring it back.
Yeah, because I was going to go further in the gutter.
No, don't, Mick.
I'll salvage the day here. Mini-moon's a new phenomenon, really. I suppose just basically for people who have lots of... Really what it is, in essence, is a short break after the initial wedding. Yeah. And people have sort of captured that idea because for different reasons. One, maybe just that... You know, they've had a lot going on prior to the planning of the wedding. Some people actually, as you know, because you've had different people on discussing it, focus on different aspects of planning the wedding, and maybe sometimes the honeymoon isn't the crucial part of it. They put more into the day. So when it actually comes around to planning the honeymoon, they don't have the time or the energy, and maybe in essence not the funds either. So they decide maybe that just directly after it, they might just take a couple of days break somewhere. So usually it invariably would be somewhere, as we would call it, short haul, as opposed to going further afield. So it's predominantly somewhere, I suppose, in Europe really.
Yeah, because I've noticed a lot of, like normally when I finish a wedding, I'd ask the bridegroom, are you doing anything, are you going on a honeymoon or whatever? And there's a pattern that has kind of emerged over the last 6 months or so that I've noticed a lot of them are doing mini-moons. So like going away for 3 days down the country or, like you said, these little breaks. And it actually really does make sense because, you know, after, you know, on the day of the wedding, you know, you're up since 6 o'clock in the morning, you're absolutely wrecked by the time of the end of the day. And most weddings now, they're having like the next day there's another party, or it could go on for 3 days. And then you're absolutely exhausted by the time that that's all finished. And the last thing you want to do then is go on, you know, a 2-week vacation somewhere where you want to travel or you want to see and stuff like that, and you're absolutely wrecked. Yeah. So it kind of does make sense in that regard. It does.
And sometimes as well, like the time of the year that people get married, which we'll discuss as well, but, you know, it maybe they wanted to go to a destination, we'll say, for instance, like give an example like Vietnam, but guess what? The time of the year they're getting married isn't compatible with
season or something like that.
Yeah.
Hurricanes or something.
You know, they may have, which is a common fact of life at the moment, a lot of people would have family abroad, come home for a wedding, you know, they don't want to be just taken off straight away afterwards. So there's a number of different factors. So then, as a result of the back of that, mini-moons have developed really.
How long is a mini-moon?
Well, invariably it can be something sort of up to a week, but usually it's 3, 4, 5 days. Sort of, you know, yeah.
Just to get away from all
to get away, to get a break.
Pretty much it is.
And then they come back and, you know, I suppose the key to the mini-moon, the plus side is good, but the flip side, it's hugely important as well then that you don't let that become the honeymoon, if you know what I mean, in essence.
Yeah, exactly. That you do go on
you do actually take, But it gives people time as well, which is important when you're planning a honeymoon because there's a lot to it and you want to get the most out of it, which we're going to discuss. But, you know, you don't want to be throwing money at it just for ticking a box and saying we're going. Yeah, exactly. So the mini-moon steps in then, takes care of that initial just going away for a couple of days, come back, and then you've got more time to just focus then with all of the wedding out of the way just on the honeymoon.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And I suppose as well, it's kind of, we've noticed as well like that, you know, the summer season is not as busy as it used to be. And it's not that there's less weddings during the summer. It's more a case of people are moving towards kind of off season. They're getting better deals in the hotels and stuff like that. So the honeymoon hasn't been as much of a factor on that.
Yes.
Because they can do the mini-moon and they can do their honeymoon during the summer.
Well, a lot of the time the weather is crap anyway in the summer. And you have much...
like today.
you know, by the law of averages, you have a better chance of getting equally as good a day in September or October or November.
Perhaps better.
And you have in June, July and August.
Yeah.
Might not be as warm, but, you know, it's dry.
Exactly. I suppose. Is there any other advantages to mini moons, kind of over honeymoons? And again, I suppose we have to stress it's not really mini moon versus honeymoon. It's more a case of mini moon and a honeymoon rather than just a honeymoon.
Absolutely,
So-
yeah. I mean, sure, circumstances might allow, the people can't actually take a full-blown honeymoon.
Yeah, exactly.
So you see, I suppose you take it on merit. Like some people will come to you and say, look, we're just going to take a city break for a couple of days, or as you said, maybe even just take it within Ireland, and then we're going to plan, and we're definitely going to, take that big 2-week honeymoon or longer at a given date in the future. But other times they might say, do you know what, we don't have it, or we might have kids, and we're not going to go.
Exactly.
We've kids, so we've got young kids, and we're not going to go far. So a mini moon could be Disneyland Paris with the kids.
I'd like that. I'd like that as a honeymoon. Let alone
But the big question is then, do you cater for the mini moons?
Yes, we do. Yeah. Within Ireland, no. I mean, our business is catered towards sending people abroad. So anything basically that involves travel to anywhere, that involves a plane or a train, then we can cater for that. Within Ireland, we don't have the same scope to get deals that people would get.
But I think though that we say with the you pretty much can be anywhere in Europe within 2 hours, on a flight and stuff like that. You can do little city breaks, a lot of people would go to Paris for for the weekend and stuff like that. It's kind of like more like a rest period than kind of sightseeing or anything like that. It's just literally just to get away.
Like a lovely one I did recently for people, and and it's hugely popular at the moment, is Iceland.
Oh yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah. So they just they got married just there last October, and
What's
the Northern
in
Lights.
Iceland?
Well, the Northern Lights
have
is
you
your
not?
big phenomenon there. You've got your glaciers, you've got your sightseeing, beautiful, amazing landscape.
Waterfalls, steam baths, what do they call them? Is it steam baths?
Yeah.
Something like that. It's kind of hot baths. They're like hot lakes. Okay, I'm dumbing out here, but
Yogi Bear
Blue
type.
Lagoon.
yes, Blue Lagoon style. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see them on Instagram and all that.
I mean, that's just an option, but like a lot of people might even take a break within Europe for a honeymoon that would involve an event or a concert or,
Yeah, exactly. I suppose that kind of leads us on to kind of one thing we were saying about was the kind of the advantage of booking through, like yourselves, the travel agents, rather than doing it yourself online. A lot of people will go, oh, we'll do it online, the whole lot. Kind of what is the main advantage, I suppose, to the booking through travel agent?
Well, particularly for a honeymoon.
Yeah.
I suppose the wedding in itself is a project, and everybody wants to have the best person and the expert in their corner for that.
Yeah.
It's a huge event in people's lives, and why would you, I suppose, for an event like that, you want to hire an expert. You have the expert photographer, you have the videographer, you have the best hotel, you have the best band, you have all of those key factors. So then, my ethos on it is for a honeymoon, then you should then also look at coming to the experts for that.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing, I think, really. It's not the perception might be, oh, well, look, if I go online, I'm going to get a better deal. For honeymoons, you're not. I wouldn't shortchange yourself on that aspect. Like, particularly because we're a travel agent as opposed to a tour operator. So in essence, really, like, we're your shopper, because we will go out then to the marketplace and look at all the various different operators that are out there, having taken your requirements into place, and just, look at it from that perspective. Like, simple things like, we will always get the heads up on room upgrades in particular hotels, if there's a good all-inclusive offer. Some destinations, the brides go free. You're not going to find that sort of stuff on the internet,
Well, I'd be a prime example. I didn't go through travel agent when we got married. Now I got married 14 years ago now, but I remember that I booked we did a half and half. So the first half, it was kind of sightseeing and travelling, and the second half was a holiday. And the first half was booked by myself. I used kind of frequent flyer miles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Big mistake, because we were constantly unpacking and packing and all that kind of stuff. And it was the second half was recommended to us by a friend who worked in a travel agent, and they suggested going to down to the bottom of Italy. I can't think of the places. What's the name of that place? It's near Naples, or down past Naples. Sorrento, yes, that's it. So we went to Sorrento for the second weekend. It was much better.
Superb,
the second week worked well.
Yeah.
But it's like that. It's your first holiday as a married couple.
Yeah.
So you don't want to screw it up. You'll never, they'll never let go, Mick, if you screw up the first holiday. No comment by Mick.
I let my wife pick, so everything went great.
Well, that was good. Very good. How do you help couples pick their honeymoon?
I suppose what we like to do is, if we can, where possible, we like to have a consultation together. So we try and get them into the office. That's not always going to happen because with modern lay life, if they can't make the trip to Westport, like we book honeymoons all over the country. So you just, you spend some time with them on the phone. If you obviously haven't got them in front of you, and you ask them key questions. I mean, the huge thing about it is to ask those key questions in the beginning, like what they're looking for. Yeah. Like everyone has an idea or a perception in their heads about the dream stroke perfect. All those words always come into when you mention honeymoon or even mini moon. So like you ask the key questions like, where have you been? What do you like to do? Yeah. You try to get inside their heads, or and take a couple of things in your make mental note as you're going along, and create a picture of kind of what they want. Some people will want exactly as you described, the 10 days on the beach doing nothing that Mick said he hated in Mauritius. Or, other people will want to...
Hated is a strong word.
Will like to ride bikes for, so everybody is different. So you have to just take that into effect. That's again, bring it back to if you go online, the computer ain't going to ask you what you like to do.
So what do you do in a situation, Emer, when, in our case, I would be a fairly adventurous, active type of holiday, or whereas my wife prefers to lie on the beach, read a book, take in the sun, sipping margaritas by the sea, that type of thing. How do you do a balance then between the two?
You see, after, as you said, if you can get...
Separate honeymoons?
Not a good plan for the start anyway.
No, doesn't work.
Second time around maybe, but not the first time. You take that on board, and then you look at it and you say, it's almost like you're trying to draw a picture, and you try and you suggest destinations. We'll say maybe like, I'm just going to give you an example. We just said that. What came into my head was South Africa, right? So it'll give you a mix of sightseeing, a bit of culture. You've got your safari, you've got your beach, and it's balanced. Wherever it's going to be, it has to be balanced depending on the two people that are sitting in front of you. Like that's key. That you see him edging going, I don't want to be 10 days on the beach, and you see her going, I want to be 10 days on the beach, and you try and match that. So what you're really trying to do is create the ideal perfect honeymoon that they're trying to, but the destination is key, like where they go that's going to offer that, or even putting two destinations together.
And when a couple books a destination then with you and you send them up, do you pre-organise the events that they can do, and they pay for in advance so that they don't have to pay for out there, etc. And then they decide on what days then to use the vouchers or whatever way you want to describe it to go on a safari, or day one they go on a safari, day two they go on,
we organise
they go to the beach or whatever. Day three they have the option then to either climb a mountain or go sightseeing, or stay on the beach an extra day, so they're tired from the first day. So they decide. Do you organise all of that?
Yeah, we do all of that pre-planning for them.
Would a lot of them be kind of all-inclusive, or would it be like that where you're buying kind of bit by bit by bit?
See, it depends on the destination, right? So we'll say, for instance, like there's a lot of people, that word is being bantered around at the moment, I want to go all-inclusive. But it's a bit like that, horses for courses. Like if you go predominantly to the Indian Ocean, like the people are what's popular at the moment is the Maldives. Everyone comes in and they ask, so, Maldives is the popular option. There, it's one island. It's a group of small islands, and on each island there's one hotel.
Yeah.
So like you're not going anywhere.
Yeah,
so you have to go all inclusive.
Yeah. It's
quite expensive. Whereas if you flip over to Thailand on the other side in Asia, it's always sold bed and breakfast or room only, because there's no requirement. It's so cheap there locally. So the destination you go to will always warrant whether you need it to be room only, bed and breakfast. Like in America, it's all room only. Because it's so cheap to eat out. Whereas in some of the Indian Ocean destinations like Mauritius, Maldives, you need to be going all inclusive. So that's the advice that you will get from the agent, the travel agent, i.e. Mc Dermott Travel. Whereas if you're booking online, there isn't anyone going to tell you. You might think you're getting a great deal because you're saying, I was online and sure I saw that place and it was fantastic value. It was a fraction of the cost that my agent quoted me, but it's not unless you match it like with like.
Yeah, and I think people have to take that into point in that, what you're seeing online is it's marketed to you to be as cheap as possible to get you, to hook you in.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff that you mightn't see. there might be a lot of terms and conditions that you don't see the full story. I suppose we say from your opinion and we say your expertise, we say what is kind of the most popular destinations at the moment? We say what's really in at the moment.
I mean, what's in? I suppose I'll go through them and then I'll also just add to it, like not to fall into the trap of what's popular, because what's popular for one isn't necessarily suitable for the next. But like just to, I suppose the time of the year is huge as well. But in terms of popularity, America's back. With or without Trump, we have America. It's great again. It's coming great again. The Caribbean cruising is very popular to combine with the US. People will go down to Florida for a few days, then take your Caribbean cruise, because they invariably will go from Miami or Orlando. So they're popular. Cruising is popular because you can cruise and see, like if you cruise for a week, you have a 7-night turnaround to different places. So you get a snapshot of the Caribbean for that. And then you can combine it with America. The Maldives is the one everyone aspires to. Yeah, it's the dream one because the pictures, I mean, anyone looks at those pictures and photos of the water villas and all of that, that's just what people see. And it is superb. It is. It is paradise on earth for sure. Mauritius popular, not popular with Mick, I know. But it was just sold for the wrong person. You see, that's the thing. South Africa. Back.
Okay, pretty good.
Yeah, and Thailand is back in vogue. Seychelles as well is another one. And then not to miss, and what people overlook, particularly here in Ireland, I think we have this thing that, when it's a honeymoon, we have to go far afield.
Yeah.
You don't really, particularly if you get married here, as you mentioned a few minutes ago, like in the summer months, which, a lot of people do. Like Europe is beautiful.
Yeah.
So honeymoons to Italy are Croatia's another one. Hugely popular. It's on the Adriatic as well, and so there's lots to choose from, and the Mediterranean cruises too. So there's a great mix.
Me and my wife and I worked together quite a long time before we get married, as many couples are.
Yeah.
Whether
they've done a lot.
Whether they've been engaged or not. But what I found with Mauritius after coming back was, I think we would have been better off doing a week of culture, going to a city, a modern city, whether it be Paris, whether it be London, whether it be Prague, whether it be someplace, where there was museums and concerts and stuff like that to see, and then going a week to Mauritius or a week to Sun and Sand.
Would it not be better the other way around?
Yeah, it's usually it's sold. I suppose it's sold differently now as well, and with flights now as well. Particularly, we'll say the most popular package from Mauritius now is actually Mauritius and Dubai, because the flights go that way. Yeah. So that will tick the box. You've Ferrari World, you've all of the bells and whistles. I call it Disney for adults, is Dubai.
Ferrari World.
Yeah. So, it's sold that way. A lot of the flights will say as we call them, the long haul destinations, in other words, the further afield destinations won't be direct. Yeah. So and the old days, everything being routed out through Heathrow are gone. So they do, in a lot of cases, it might be out through Paris, through Amsterdam. So there is the option there of breaking the journey. Yeah. 2-centre honeymoons are huge. And what I mean by 2 centres is that, you would go to a Mauritius and Dubai, you could do Mauritius and South Africa, the Maldives, that type of thing. And then, for Thailand, what's hugely popular is that you would take in 3 or 4 different locations within that country, and Vietnam too. Like, they're very popular destinations because there you don't have to go to 2 places. You can go to one country. I mean, the phrase for South Africa is a world in one country. And it is really because you can tick the boxes of the culture, the sightseeing and the beach all in one place. You're not having to be taking 10 flights to do it.
That's good. And one thing I just thought of was say with mini moons and honeymoons is that because we say a lot of these Maldives and Mauritius, they're quite expensive.
They are. Yeah.
That if you have your mini moon, you can kind of start saving for your honeymoon, so you've got time. Yeah. So like the wedding is so expensive, and a honeymoon will be quite a lot of that expense. That you can kind of separate the two, so you can have you can get what you want for your wedding. And then you've got 6 months, maybe 6 months down the line, then go on your honeymoon, so you can be saving for the next 6 months for the honeymoon. So it kind of breaks it up a little bit as well. So,
and what's hugely important as well, like it's if you do a honeymoon, like everything, it's an expense, but you want to get the very best for your buck.
Yeah.
And when you're planning a wedding, there's a lot going on, an awful lot going on.
Yeah.
And I would be a big advocate of saying to people, you know, they come in and say, we have to go on the 29th of August because that's the Tuesday after the wedding, whatever. And I'd say, why can you not park it? You know, now sometimes they can't because work commitments or whatever. But, you know, you're finding sometimes that they say, do you know what, we're going to leave it now till January and go in February or March or whatever, you know, and push it out. And seasonality as well. A lot of people get married at Christmas time and it's the dearest time to go on a honeymoon.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, January, February is much more reasonable priced. So they're the things, as I said again, that, you know, we can advise you on.
And Emer, would you recommend that people hold off on going on both either a honeymoon and mini-moon for maybe 5 to 7 days after the wedding?
Yeah, if they could.
If they can.
If they can.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
But just because, like that, you know, they've, like, I suppose we survey all of the couples that go. We always give them a ring a week or two after they come back, see how things went. And like what comes up for me all the time is like little comments like, oh, we had to leave our friends. We didn't get to see the photos or whatever,
exactly.
you know.
Or you'd have relations coming over as well.
Those are
like,
the little
you're
things.
gone before they have to talk to you.
So if it allows them, I mean, you know, I suppose if you have a profession, like maybe you're a teacher or whatever, and you get married in the summer, you don't necessarily have to bolt out the door 3 days after you get married. Then a week later is perfect.
Of course, if you have family home for a week or 10 days and your wedding is in the middle of it, I suppose you do want to spend time with them, really, don't you?
You do, yeah.
Unless you don't like the in-laws and the outlaws.
Then you want to roll straight away.
We won't go there. So Mick, we go to social media. Just, is there anything on social media?
Yeah, there's quite a bit, yeah.
Who's out there?
Who's out there? Big shout. We do shout outs so first. Ronnie Dignan, shout out to Ronnie. Mark Foley, Shauna Monaghan, Karen McDonough, Brendan Waters, Damien Kavanagh, Alan McGowan, Marcia Trotter, Eddie Wallace, and Charlie Heath. Hi to all of them. And there's quite a few others watching as well. They haven't commented yet. Ronnie Dignan says, sometimes this suits better. It suits better to say if you're a teacher and you're getting married during the school term, or you want to get married in the summer, but you get much better bang for your buck heading off on a big honeymoon in January. Is that true? If you get married in the summer, maybe hold off till the end of January.
No, it depends on where you're going.
Right.
Like if you're going, January is an expensive time for the Caribbean because of seasons. Like obviously if it's cold here, it's warm there. So the logic is like if you're going, say the second half of January onwards, February, it's not as expensive, but it's quite expensive early January to go anywhere, we'll say, that's warm.
Right. Okay.
You know, so it wouldn't be the better time. Like you'd be better if you could, like, to head in the summer period. You know?
Okay.
Yeah, it depends. It's all on where you're thinking of going, I suppose.
Shauna Monaghan reckons you don't need to go away on a big holiday. A mini-moon is a great idea. Shauna got married in April and they went down to Kerry for a few days and they had a great time. And then later on they're going to plan and go away as a family with themselves and their kids, I suppose. So that's another reason to take a mini-moon and then head off.
Then you could just do their
summer holiday.
Yeah,
then.
with your kids.
Kerry. Kerry's a great place. Can't beat Kerry.
It is, yeah. Kerry's a great place. We booked our honeymoon with Emer and couldn't recommend her enough. It was so stress-free. We are heading to Thailand in 2 weeks' time and can't wait. Big thanks to Emer. That's from Marcia Trotter.
Oh, that's lovely to hear.
So, nice plug
Happy
there.
customer.
Mick, any questions on the social media?
Just in relation to the question about destination wedding, but I think we're going to ask that question.
Yeah, I think we're going to
That's
cover
one
that.
of our topics that we're going to cover in the second half.
Okay, well, let's start with the money side. I suppose budget-wise, what's the average budget for, we'll say, like a mini-moon and a honeymoon?
I suppose the average budget for a mini-moon, it can be anything from €1,000 or less. You know, I mean, if the couple are going to take a straightforward city break, it could be anything from €500 to €600 for a couple of days. Mm-hmm. I mean, if they push up the rating of the hotel, like if they pick maybe a nice boutique hotel in the city, you know, you could be talking about anything from 1,000 to maybe two at max, you know, depending what they want to spend themselves. Really, they can set their budget on that, you know, and decide. Like, I suppose the one thing I would see is like, maybe depending again whether they're going to go on a honeymoon. Like if they're going to go on a honeymoon after the event, I would say to them, okay, you don't need to go bargain basement, but like, don't spend a fortune on it.
Yeah, exactly. Just somewhere to get away.
Yeah. But if it's going to be, as we had a question there, and it was, if it's going to be your only chance of getting away, then you might decide, you know what, we'll just spend, $1,000 or, per person or less, 1,500, and have a nice hotel and somewhere nice for a couple of days. Then you're going to do that.
What would be kind of, the recommended budget for, say, a honeymoon as such?
It's very broad. Okay. So I suppose if you were asking me just what's the general spend at the moment. I mean, the average spend at the moment would be lead in sort of for a couple about $5,000.
$5,000.
Yeah. And then you will get them, which are, they're few and far between, but the upper end of the scale would be from 10 to 12 to 14,000. I know.
It's a car.
I know, it's a car.
And what would $5,000, what would $5,000 get you?
You could change your car every 5 or 6 years then.
Could do, yeah.
You can't change your wife.
But you can change your honeymoon.
If you spend the money on a car instead of a honeymoon, you might as well.
The wife would cost a lot more than the car over the years. And they're worth it.
Moving on.
Bringing it back.
So
back to, I suppose, if you everyone wants to get the most for their budget, but also not to fall back on suitability of resort. So you're not, I suppose, just to always say, like in a perfect world, say they wanted to go to Cancun, Mexico. That's a popular one at the moment. Yeah, all inclusive is a way to go there. So that will always come in depending on the time of the year. Again, that's definitely within a $5,000 budget.
Yeah, okay.
With reason. Now, the number of nights you go for would be 8 to 10 night duration. Depending on the grade of the hotel. But yeah, you would get a decent honeymoon for that price. And then,
happy with Cancun? Mick, would you be happy with Cancun?
No.
Why not? What's wrong with Cancun? No. Cancun's gorgeous. I was in Cancun. Yeah. It's absolutely beautiful.
You can mix it with Vegas and New York and stuff like that as well.
I'd go to New York would interest me.
Yeah.
Or Cork or London.
Okay, so you put New York and Cork and London in the same boat.
I go Cork, London and New York.
That works.
Okay. Moving swiftly along. Is there a lot of couples who would like to get married abroad and also tie their honeymoon in with it?
Yeah. We also, Mc Dermott Travel, do weddings abroad.
So is that elopement, or what do they call that? We'll say, like when you get married abroad?
You can have either both a Catholic or a civil ceremony. So obviously the destination you choose will ultimately be because of whatever you want. Yeah. Whether it's going to be a civil or a Catholic. And in Europe, like we have key people we deal with, because obviously if it's a wedding, you want to make sure that you're dealing with a reputable hotel. The whole idea of getting married abroad, I suppose, for couples is that it's stress-free.
Yeah.
So for that,
is it stress-free though?
It is if it's dealt with in the right way.
Or is all the stress just leading up to the wedding?
Pushed up out to
pushed 3 or 4 days before you get on a plane.
Yeah, but you get because it's
and you have the stress of bringing a dress, bringing suits, bringing this, bringing that.
You see, it's all planned. You basically, like an example would be recently, like we do a lot of weddings abroad in Croatia. We have a really good girl on the ground there. There's a really excellent wedding planner. So all of the boxes are ticked before you go, right? See, there's an awful lot that has to be done in advance as well, with documentation and letters of freedom and all that type of thing. And the hotel. A lot of couples would fly out maybe and see the hotel in advance and make sure that it's right for them, and we can organise that. Come back, make sure that the venue, they're happy with it. It depends as well. I mean, sometimes you only have the couple going themselves and getting married. You might have 3 or 4, or sometimes you might have a group of 30. So it varies, but like that's just an example, a recent example I can give you. But superb key partners on the ground is what you need, so that it takes the stress out of it. Yeah,
I think,
and that's what we have in place. Like we don't do loads of destinations; we only do a few because they're the ones I suppose Mc Dermott Travel can stand over and know we can deliver on those, and like you can't take a risk. Yeah,
I don't think I've never heard of somebody kind of organising kind of like a wedding abroad without going through a travel agent. It's kind of very risky, wouldn't it be? Yeah. Kind of, because you just don't know what you're going to get out there unless you have somebody, like you said, if you have somebody on the ground there, you've got that trust, you've got that reliability and everything as well. You know? I suppose, Mick, any more questions on your side? I'm trying to go through here. I've only got 1 or 2 left.
No, not at the moment, no.
Okay. I think we touched on these questions, I was saying about time of year, how it influences honeymoons.
It does.
Is it a case of, I suppose, like the time of the year is one thing, but do people need to factor in would say, so if they're going to, like we were saying, going to places where weather conditions can change, so like, you know, hurricanes and stuff like that, does all that kind of factor in? Like we say, if somebody wants to go to, for example, Cuba or somewhere like that, you know, and then you've got kind of the hurricane season that kind of happens around, I don't know what time of the year it is, but
October, September, yeah.
You know, so that's one of the reasons I'm kind of saying that, you know, travel agent is a much better idea.
Huge,
because
yeah.
I don't think a lot of times when you're booking things, they're going to say, no, you can't go because of that time of the year.
Absolutely, yeah.
Is there any other kind of factors we'll say? Like,
I mean, I think it's probably the most influential factor of all of it, of that whole honeymoon thing is actually the time of the year. You know, it has the most influence on where you ultimately will end up, because, as you said, like, weather is key. Budget as well, it affects that, the time of the year, you know, that you pick, that you get married. I suppose I see it from my end, you know, the hotel see it from another end, the couple see it from the fact that they're going to pick a certain time of the year. Maybe, as you said earlier and referred to earlier, they get a good, you know, deal in the hotel and all those things. Exactly. And then at the end, when they come to picking the honeymoon, the time of the year is an influencer. So, I mean, where you go, I suppose, as you said, you get the advice from us, you know, that's great, but do you know what? It's not going to be a superb time of the year. Love the idea that you're sold on going to, we'll say, the Caribbean, but guess what? Like, for that time, if I have a situation like that where somebody comes in, you know, asks me to quote for that, I would always guide them maybe towards a tip I would say to people is that the Caribbean cruise is an excellent way to just you know, go for that at September, October. And they would say, but why? Because at least if you're on a cruise and there is inclement weather, the cruise will change its pattern and its course. Whereas if you're on one island, then you will invariably be moved, you know. But hurricanes, you know, you just have to try and, where possible, just, you know, guide people to try and avoid that time of the year to go there. But we've been lucky over the last couple of years. There hasn't been anything hugely major.
And what happens, we'll say, in that scenario where somebody is booked to go somewhere next month, something happens, like what happened over in Iceland with the Ash Cloud.
I was just going to ask that about insurance and honeymoon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there such thing as honeymoon insurance as opposed to travel insurance? Or is it the same thing?
There's actually even insurance now for the Ash Cloud. It's part. Yeah. But, like, again, if you've booked through Mc Dermott Travel or you book through a travel agent, you're protected straight away. Okay. So, like, straight away we would step in and say, look, you know, the weather is taking a turn for the worst. If you haven't travelled, we look at an alternative destination. If you have travelled, you've got us as your point of contact. Yeah, exactly. And, you know, we'll organise flights, movement, whatever needs to be done. Whereas, you know, as we have all found from different situations, it doesn't even have to be the honeymoon. It can be anything, as you said, refer to Ash Cloud or anything like that. If you don't have a point of contact, it's very difficult. If you book it online, you're kind of on your own to sort it out, you know.
Yeah. And did you have backup plan type of scenarios in the situation where the couple have to come home for whatever reason, emergencies or anything like that, or they get stranded somewhere and, you know, they need to be brought home?
Yeah, I mean, I had a situation, I think it was a year or two ago, with a honeymoon couple. I think she had appendicitis or something on the cruise ship, and we just got her off at the next port and got her home. And we're then, you know, we were able to, because of the fact, I suppose, we were using that supplier and that cruise operator quite a bit, able to secure a partial refund. And the great side of that was that, you know, I think 4 or 5 months later, when all was well, they went on another
continued on type of thing.
Yeah, they went on another short break. So it's great, you know, when you can do those sorts of things. I suppose, again, like, it's always good to have the expert in your corner.
How far in advance should couples book their honeymoon then?
Good. It can be done up to 11 months in advance.
Up to, why 11 months?
Because the flights are only loaded 11 months in advance. So in other words, if you're getting married, we'll say, what are we in now? We'll say you're in June and you want to get married June 18. We'll say you have to wait, like, from, we'll say, July, August of this year, you can start looking, because you can actually get an accurate overall costing, because the airfares are live. Right, okay. You know, and the rates are there for the hotels.
Is it better value for money to book earlier than book late?
It is, yeah.
So would you recommend go visit your travel agent, go and see you 11 months out?
It doesn't have to be 11. A lot of honeymoon couples do. As I said, when people are planning honeymoons, different people have different focus. Some people are very focused on, you know, having a nice honeymoon, and other people it's not the be all and end all. You know, there's everyone's circumstances and outlook on it are different. But yes, you can come 11, 12, 13 months in advance, and we can give you ideas and you can plan and you can process it that way and gives you time to guide you through it. But, you know, any time from sort of like 6, 8, 10 months in advance is plenty of time. But I would suggest for sure the myth of leaving a honeymoon to the last minute isn't ideal.
Where they turn up at the airport and they go, "Now, where do we go?"
Well, you can if you have the checkbook to go with it.
Go there.
You wouldn't recommend that.
Well, no, because you're leaving it to chance. And you see we'll go back to what we started in the beginning is they want it to be perfect. They want it to be idyllic.
Yeah.
So you're taking all those, the later you leave it, you're taking all those little things.
And you're hoping for the best.
I mean, you are hoping for the best, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just, you're taking all those little criteria kind of get shelved a little bit, you know. So forward planning for the honeymoon is key, really. You know, so either you do it at the time and you travel after the wedding, or you park it and you forward plan for a decent honeymoon later on. Really,
Okay.
I think I've all my questions answered. Mick, how about you?
No,
you good?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Good.
Any more on
Yeah.
social media before we
No,
round up?
no, nothing here now at the moment. Tia Corcoran has joined us. Hi to Tia.
Hi, Tia.
Pat Cafferty. Pat is a bagpiper and he's available for the special day. So we'll give Pat a plug. Fair play to you, Pat. Thanks for joining us. It's a bit random, but sure, no, that's done.
You're happy enough?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Well, what we'll finish on is Emer. Tell us more about about Mc Dermott Travel. How can people get in touch with you? What's the best course of action?
Yeah. Website is probably the first port of call. We've a designated honeymoon page there. They'll see on it like our up-to-date offers and so forth. And obviously then they can contact us by phone, Facebook.
Okay, so give us the website, McDermott
Travel.ie. Award-winning, won a couple of awards.
Yeah, I saw that actually.
Yeah,
It's
great.
good to mention,
I saw like Honeymoon Supplier 2016 of the year. Yeah, I saw that as well.
Won the Mrs. To Be as well. So,
fantastic.
like we specialise in it, you know, and so you can contact us, and our phone number is obviously on the website, Facebook page, and you know.
I just want to know, you don't just do honeymoons.
No.
You do holidays.
Yeah, we're a proper retail travel agent. We sell everything basically from package sun holidays, family holidays, cruising, all of the usual aspects. But I suppose
what's the most unusual?
What's the most unusual?
Yeah. Give us a funny story, or give us a little.
Mick, you've just come back from holidays.
I know.
I mean, I will give you a funny story about a honeymoon if you want me to.
Yeah, please.
I confirmed a honeymoon for a groom who was on his way to the church.
What?
Yeah, he was in the car on the way.
Wow.
Well,
So that's talk about cutting it fine. Yeah.
Top tip.
Yes, can you give us a top tip? So basically, when you're booking a honeymoon a whole lot, what's your top tip?
Take time with it, plan it, and use the travel agent. And hopefully you'll use Mc Dermott Travel in the future for that.
And we were saying mini moons and honeymoons. So mini moon or honeymoon, mini moon and honeymoon.
Mini moon and honeymoon if you can.
Yeah.
If not, either or.
Yeah.
You know, nothing wrong with the mini moon. It's been proven fact. But it's again just talk through your options because there's lots of them.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, listen, thanks a million for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, guys.
So remember, that's Mc Dermott Travel, McDermottTravel.ie on the website, and you can get by phone or email and on the website and the whole lot.
Okay.
Mick, have you anything else? You're happy enough?
Just letting people know what's on next week.
Do please, yes.
Yeah, we have Mirren O'Connor.
Mirren.
Or Mirren
McDermott.
McDermott. That's cool.
Another McDermott.
There you go.
They're taking over.
Yeah. Mirren's going to be discussing beauty tips.
Very good. I had a wedding with Mirren last weekend.
Did you?
Yeah.
So she'll be here, and she's got a couple of prizes as well that she's going to give away. And so you're going to have to keep an eye on Facebook for all of them over the next day or so, because we'll be promoting them in the next couple of days. So that's what's next week.
Fantastic.
And the following week, if I can mention, we have Patrick Brown from Patrick Brown Designs. So if you're interested, or you have any questions, stationery, thank you cards, table plans, all that type of stuff, that's the following week.
Fantastic.
And remember, on August the 2nd, we'll have our first of many dress shows. and we'll have a special host that night as well.
You're getting rid of me, are you?
The two of us will be gone that night.
I'm afraid so.
No. Well,
Can't fit me into a dress.
I might be here, but you'll be gone. We have a special
Definitely
host.
get Mick
We
in a
have a
dress.
special guest, and it'll be the first show where we'll have covered wedding dresses. So that's
Fantastic.
August the 2nd. So put that one in your diary. And as well, every Wednesday night we're here at 8:30, of course.
Great, fantastic. And I suppose just to mention, we'll say, as most people will know, you can basically watch back the episodes on YouTube. YouTube channel, MyWeddingStore.ie, just search for it on YouTube, you'll find it there. After the live video is finished, you can actually rewatch it as well, which is quite great. Yeah. And again, guys, comment, we'll say, if you have any comments or anything, please leave them in the comment section below, and we'll try and cover them over the next... the next half hour. We'll try and get back to people if they have any questions or anything. We'll pass them on to Emer. That's basically it for tonight, guys. Thanks a million for joining us.
Episode
Thank you,
18.
Emer.
Thank you very much.
Episode 18, all done and dusted.
All the way from Westport, so fair play.
Yeah, fair play to you. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
So that's it, guys. Thank you for joining us all at home. And remember to subscribe to our channel and make sure that you tune in for next week's episode. Thanks a million. We'll see you next week.